Welcome to the Ingram Microcloud monthly podcast. We are all Microsoft Shorestep BDMs working across the Microsoft Cloud stack. My name is Martyn Hall, and I will allow my colleagues to introduce themselves now.
My name is Nicola Miller, and I am the Business Development Manager here at Ingram Micro for the Modern Workplace.
My name is Mike Markey. I'm also Modern Workplace Business Development Manager at Ingram Micro.
And I'm Steve Gray, and I look after the Azure side.
Short and sweet.
Short intro today. Short.
Yeah.
Up against it, look.
So I suppose some people are asking, what is Shorestep? So Shorestep is a global program brought to you by Microsoft, and it consists of the four of us that you see in front of us today. As you say, Steve in Azure, Martyn in Dynamics, myself, and Mike back in Modern Workplace. And essentially our role is just here to enable you and support you with your journey, with the Microsoft journey, should I say. And we act in a parachute motion. So we drop in not only to support with sales opportunities, but we can also help deliver training, enable you to be more efficient to sell more.
Sure.
Cool. So this month we are talking all things community call updates as we normally do. And we're going to roll in with Ignite because, let's face it, that's going to swallow most of the news this month.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, we're not going to separate them out, but shall we just go into each cloud and discuss it a little bit more in further detail? Who wants to go first?
You might as well go as you've started.
I'll go first then. Cool. So there were quite a few updates actually for us this month. Some of the big news was Power Automate. So Power Automate Desktop is going to be free for Windows 10. So people can download the application and automate their desktop using this with absolutely no cost attached to it, which is kind of big news because Microsoft see automation being a huge play going into next FY. And actually, it's going to be great for a lot of partners because when customers actually start playing around with that automation, they're going to want to start doing things in the cloud and automating in the cloud. And that's where some of the paid licenses are going to start coming into it. Other big things that came out, we had one thing I'm going to leave till last, actually, but there was talk about huge, it's the deeper integrations between Dynamics 365 and Microsoft Teams. So all the customer engagement stuff, all the sales, marketing, customer service, field service, all that stuff, really deeply integrating into Teams so you can track anything as and when in a conversation if you needed to in Dynamics and Teams. HR is actually going to have the same sort of deep integration come in towards the end of the year as well. There's actually something that's coming to preview, which is intelligent order management, which I was quite keen to learn more about for our retail webinar we did recently. I thought that'd sound really cool to talk about. There's also sort of a real-time personalized customer experience capability that's been added to marketing as well. And while we're on talking about marketing, there's actually an offer for partners to get Dynamics 365 marketing for free for 6 months for their customers as well.
Wow, that's
so
pretty cool.
Yeah, talk about trying to get people to use marketing. That's a huge investment from Microsoft to push that.
Big topic at the minute, marketing. A lot of people are really looking at their marketing action.
Yeah. On the Power Platform side, because we've covered Dynamics pieces there, but on Power Platform, we talked about the Power Automate, but there's also some additions to things like Power BI. So previously we'd have Power BI Pro, which was licensing the users, and you'd be able to do all the cool stuff with it you needed to, and then Power BI Premium that gives you some additional features, much better performance, and the scalability. There's that gap in the middle that wasn't quite covered. So they've introduced Power BI Premium per user. And that's going to be general availability from April 1st, I believe. And I think when I looked at costing, it's something like $20 per user, which is actually quite reasonable for what it gives people. There's also some release news about IT governance and security features for Power Platform, and some additional AI capabilities that are being released for Power Virtual Agents. The bit I was saving is actually something called Power FX. Did any of you guys see about Power FX?
No. It's a new one for me, that one.
So you guys have made jokes before. I'm a bit of a data geek. I'm a whiz on Excel and all that jazz.
That.
God, who'd have thought?
I know.
But actually, PowerFX is a new low-code programming language that's got roots in Excel. So it uses a lot of the same functionality and functions to call upon that it will use in the language. And as far as a barrier to entry, for anyone who's starting to get into app development, that actually lowers that barrier tremendously. People are really much more likely to get into app development when they already know a programming language like Excel. So I thought that was a really cool one, and I'm expecting to see a lot more of that over the next few months. And that's more of a whistle-stop tour of what came out of Ignite for business applications. Anyone wants more details, they know how to find me. Ask, happy to discuss it, because it's a lot of really exciting stuff. But I will give you guys the mic, and you can take either Modern Work or Azure.
I may as well take over from an Ignite perspective.
You normally wait right to the last. No one's texting you, don't worry.
I've got that much to talk about that, I won't talk about it all because...
Can you do it in like a really exciting tone?
No. So this is the best you're going to get. There's lots of updates to lots of different programs, tools, new resources, new bits of information. I am not going to talk about them all because the list would take me about 20 minutes of just the titles, never mind the explanation of what each one is. What I would suggest people do is go to their search engine of choice and search for the Ignite Book of News and search for the Azure related pieces. There are a lot of decent updates to current resources and tools. And there's a lot of exciting new features coming as well. But yes, from an Ignite perspective, honestly, I can't pick out any key ones. There's some good ones around Azure Arc and Hybrid, VMware solutions. There's changes to the Azure Migrate tool, being able to sort of assess SQL databases. There's changes to Azure Monitor for Windows Virtual Desktop. There's a lot of new decent things coming. From a technical perspective, more than anything, I would suggest going and having a little read. And if you do get any questions or you want to learn more, get in touch, as Martyn said, so we can discuss that in more detail about building that into your current plan. I'll let you two go now.
Is that it?
Yeah.
No. You said you had
loads. Okay. Do you want me to read it all? Do you want me to read it all?
That's literally 30 seconds.
Let's see if you can stay awake.
Throw something technical into the mix. Go on, Steve.
I'm not technical. Martyn, what do you think of Azure Arc?
I don't know. You can tell me more about that.
Not Noah's Ark.
I've got some more updates for the community call, which are more exciting for partners to listen to. But we'll wait until the Ignite bit's done.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. I was happy listening about Excel before, to be fair, with Martyn. Like, my Excel code and knowledge is, like, thanks to Steve, and a lot of kind of error on my behalf is steadily going up a little bit. So, yeah, I'm happy.
You live a VLOOKUP these days, don't you?
That's probably my strongest one, and some at the moment. So, which is quite basic. But, in terms of Ignite from Modern Workplace, we had a couple of call outs, but for me, I really wanted to call out one of the features within Outlook specifically, which is suggested times. Now, I don't know if anyone uses this at all, whether you're watching it or whilst we're talking today, but for me, suggested times is usually a feature that's really heavily used within Teams. And what it does, it uses artificial intelligence to look at other participants within that meeting, if you don't already know, and it will suggest a time, like it says on the tin. But it's coming to Outlook Mobile. And whilst you're out looking at, say, Greg's for your lunch or a Subway, because we can't go anywhere else these days, and a meeting comes through, I can at least reschedule a meeting on my phone now, which is brilliant. Story time there. Knowing where I go for my lunch, hashtag. And then, with Teams, I don't know, Nicola, you probably privy to this one, presenter mode, because I know you've only just gone to 2 screens, haven't you? And
yes. Yeah, I love presenter mode. So in terms of with the new layout, when it comes down to that presenter mode feature, basically you can deliver over 2 devices. So in terms of when we do a lot of training in terms of what we do as our role. So in terms of that presenter mode and that kind of audience layout, I think it's really helpful, and it can it tees up the next slide, and it has the notes there as well. So it's technically sometimes when you do go into presenter mode, literally you are just presented with the slide, and if you've not got your notes to hand, or if you've not got it set up correctly, so in terms of the new update, when it comes down to PowerPoint live in Teams, it's in general availability now.
And then one that I'm quite excited for, because ultimately, we're recording this today. There's 4 of us here, but sometimes there's quite a lot more if it's the entire team. So it's that new gallery view mode in Teams, which is now out for general availability. So it's that together mode and a large gallery. So being able to see everyone's happy, smiley faces on a Monday morning after we've gone through the weekend is, I think that's pretty cool. So update your Teams, people. Make sure it's there. The one kind of clustered into security feature a little bit. I think the end-to-end encryption for one-to-one Teams calls, which is coming. It's going to be available to commercial customers. It's in a preview for the first half of this year. But in terms of the call and features that kind of voice offers on a Microsoft standpoint, there's many security features that you do ask for normally. And it's nice to hear that Microsoft are listening to you. And it's kind of, they're rolling it out. That'd be pretty cool. Quite excited for that one as well. So
you've got the Teams can now support an interactive customer webinar up to 1,000 attendees as well. So that's an end-to-end webinar support. So it includes your customer registration and obviously your presentation options, etc. So that's really good. And also the Teams webinars can also seamlessly scale it to 10,000 person in a view-only broadcast experience. So these are really good if you've got like all hands or something along those lines. It'd be really good. So during kind of like the pandemic, it increased to 20,000 people broadcast. And that's going to be basically available at the end of the year.
And then the third kind of topic was a bit around management. There is a lot of admin capabilities which are kind of rolling off the press. There are too many to mention, but we will drop in the book of news link into kind of the description. So if you do want to find out more about those, then absolutely click on the link and scroll through and find out. I think that's our Ignite update, I think, unless you've got any more, Nicola, coming out.
I think I'm good. I don't want to be taking Steve's. Steve's got a lot to go through with Azure on the community call, apparently. So.
Just on Ignite, I was actually going to say something I thought that actually all of us would end up talking about was the industry clouds as well. They announced. So there's already some news. There was some news going around before Ignite talking about healthcare cloud.
Yep.
Yes.
But they've also mentioned about retail as well, haven't they?
Yep. So that's going live this month. Sorry, Martyn. Did I just cut you off then?
Yeah, you did, but it's fine.
Sorry.
It's fine.
It's not
like loads of people are going to listen and say, "How dare she?"
You never know.
But I just thought it'd be nice to call that out because that's something that we're going to pay particular attention to, I think, and probably delve into more on either future podcasts or webinars in the future as well.
I was going to say, would it be a seamless plug to, or shameless to plug our sector webinars Absolutely. That we do every month?
Come and join us for all the other webinars that we do, because there's a lot of them as well.
There is indeed.
I was about to say, what is a sector webinar?
In sector.
Yeah.
So shall we have a look at the community calls then and see if there's anything left over that we didn't talk about?
Yes, let's do it.
So from a dynamics point of view, and this actually does cross over a little bit with Ignite, but one of the things they did talk about was the training stuff. So there are 2 new exams in beta for Microsoft certifications, and that's the Dynamics 365 Fundamentals Customer Engagement Apps Associate and the Dynamics 365 Fundamentals Finance and Operations Apps Associate. So basically there's one aimed at CRM and one aimed at ERP. And that's at that foundational level, much like the fundamentals are. So that was new.
Seems to be a lot of new exams coming out recently. Obviously, we've had the cyber security one from Modern Workplace standpoint. 2.
Yes.
That's it. Crikey, most of you like hard work this afternoon.
I thought you had more to add. I thought you had more to add than just that one.
I'm just saying, I was waiting for you to say, Steve, there's one from Azure or something along those lines.
We did it on the last podcast. Everyone already knows about that.
It's about learning paths though and exams. Just on the back of Ignite, there is Microsoft have kind of released the Ignite Skills Challenge as well, haven't they? Which I can't believe we dropped the ball and didn't mention it. But essentially complete the learning paths, which I know are quite lengthy, but it is a skills challenge that really wants to test you, and there's free exam vouchers available at the end of it. So I know I'm going to try and smash one out over the next couple of days, because we've only got to the end of the month, people, to try and get these in. But if you want to upgrade those skills to pay those bills, very corny, but you got to do it. So.
Which one are you going for then, Mike?
I think the MS 700.
I started to do the MS 700. I must admit, but it was like I think it was it got a good amount of time to put into it.
I think 18 hours.
It was 18 hours. I didn't want to say it, but if you said it, that's what I was thinking. Martyn's face is like, oh my lord.
18 hours is far too long for a learning path.
Yeah.
Well, it's a free exam code at the end of the day, so
now you're talking.
Exactly,
Yeah. So has anyone got, Martyn, did you carry on with your Dynamics community call?
Just one more bit to call out. That was the only. Sorry, there's actually 2 more bits. Everything else was covered off, and the one bit was talking about. I know I mentioned about Martyn being offered as free for 6 months. That's great, but actually, it's worth checking out. Megan Walker did a really good session at the Scottish Summit recently, and she did a comparison between Dynamics 365 marketing and Click Dimensions. Click Dimensions, a lot of people have already heard of that as a marketing suite. Actually, it's really good to go and listen to her session on the 2 there. And the second point I was going to mention was talking about Dynamics communities. There's a lot of stuff out there for Microsoft's Dynamics community, whether it be for Power Platform or Dynamics actually, and you can just take a look at the different stuff they've got going on in all of the forums. But also for anyone who's an Ingram microcloud partner, we've actually got a partner Teams channel for business applications in general. Currently, as it stands, it's going to be like calling out the connectors for Dataverse at the moment, but we've got 480 people joined that community already, and we're just looking to add more to it because it's such a good place to get any information on biz apps. And then I'm done.
That's pretty cool. I know that community is always like kind of, I see my teams going ping, ping, ping with notifications all the time. So it is very active. So yeah, definitely join in if you can. It's definitely one not to be missed. Steve, can Modern Workplace go next? Because I know that you've got
if you're really that desperate, go for it.
Yeah, cause as well as Ignite, there was only really kind of one thing I wanted to talk about throughout this community call, which I'm going to do the 80s or 70s kind of TV voice now. Top resource highlight of the month. There we go. Done it. So it was around. Do you
want to do that again for us, Mike?
Yeah, please do it again. Go on. Poor Steve, I can't believe we're associated with
either side. Yeah. Pause either side so we can cut that bit out.
Right. Top resource highlight of the month.
Bosh.
There we go. Done it.
That's going in as is, by the way.
Yeah, that's fine. But that top resource. So hands up, how many of us have delivered a demo and it's been our own devices or our own data that we've used before? I know I've delivered on my own device previously.
Yep.
Yeah. So with that, Microsoft really wants to highlight, and I know we highlight on the calls just as much, but this resource is growing exponentially at the moment, and it's all around the customer demo experiences. So with regards to that, really starting to utilize, and it allows you to get hands-on with a particular product but not damage anything within your own device, like your own Teams tenancy or something, because you can create that kind of demo tenant, and in a sandbox environment, click as many buttons as you like without breaking anything or compromising your own data. But more recently, I know Dynamics has really started to go heavy into it, and so is Azure. So with that, creating those labs and those demo areas to be able to showcase to customers. I don't know, what's everyone's thoughts? And I'm really excited, and I show partners all the time.
I like demos. I like demo tenants. I always push people to the CDX essentially, where it lives. But as I say, certainly when we're talking about security, there's no secure way of showing people how to use security when it's not on your own tenant, essentially. But Teams, certainly last year when Teams obviously went from not zero, but particularly wasn't out there as much, to all of a sudden it just completely exploded. We did a lot of run throughs on Teams on what you can and what you can't do, and showcase what you can do, really, not what you can't do, but showcasing and how that kind of plugs in. No, I love them. I think that the demos, and I just don't think it's generally what people know it's actually there, free to use.
Yeah, no. And anything to add? Because ultimately Dynamics and Azure are new into that area. It was predominantly a modern workplace.
Power Platform in there now.
Power Platform's been added as well, and actually Dynamics has been there for a while, and it was mostly environments you'd be able to set up. So it was really good to demo it, but it lacked a lot of data, so it was very difficult to show off because you've got no data to work with. Yeah. But there are demos now with sample sets of data, which is really good. And Power Platform that's in there actually has more of the guided tour of an application like Power Automate, for instance, and it'll be a click-through demo. It won't be a deck. It won't be a Power Automate application in an environment or anything like that. It'll be more like an interactive web page. You just be able to click through and show someone exactly how it works, which is in some ways more effective because you can show a sample set of data without actually giving anyone any access to it and potentially breaking something.
Yeah.
I think it also goes well with people. Everyone learns in different ways, and I have this thing about people learning in different ways. People like to read, people like to get hands-on. I'm a practical learner, so to be fair, when it comes down to dummy tenants, certainly for me, having that kind of be able to play with it and not feel like I'm going to break anything or kind of put anything at exposure, essentially. But as I say, in terms of the new ones that have come on, we had the normal E5s on there before. However, but having things like Endpoint and Intune, having them updated. The things with Microsoft, the way I say, it moves so quickly. We're always sometimes playing a little bit of catch up with it. So actually breaking those workloads out and putting them there to utilise, I think is a really, really good idea. Good thinking, whoever done that, whoever's idea that was.
Yeah, and that was your top resource highlight of the month.
You're going to have to do that every month now, Steve. Please stop him. It's too far away from me to controlling Steve.
I'm sorry, I've been on mute. What was that? Are you all done?
Yeah.
We're waiting for you. You said you had a lot to, go through. So.
Well, you know me, I can go through a lot in a very short space of time.
Apparently so.
Yes. So, another topic, Nicola. The campaign for an accelerator for adding new customers for Azure. So, anyone familiar with the Shorestep program will know there's core rebates as a silver or gold Microsoft partner, and there are customer add accelerators, or there is for Dynamics and there are for Modern Workplace. There's been a lack of one from an Azure perspective. To So they've just added one. So this will be running for this quarter. So it started on the 1st of March, but will run through till the end of June, actually, June the 30th. So to be eligible for this, we mentioned you must be a silver or gold partner. You must be enrolled in the CSP Indirect Reseller Incentives Program. And to be eligible, you must have had any customer that's been transacting this financial year for Microsoft, so any time between July last year and February, that hasn't been billing $1,000 a month in any of those months. If you take that customer and increase that revenue to $1,500 a month, you will be paid a one-off incentive of $1,000 per customer. So if you've got 10 customers currently billing under $1,000 and you take them all above $1,500 before the end of June, you'll get $10,000 from that campaign.
Nice.
So some good earning potential. Signing up isn't as straightforward. It's not auto-enrollment. Currently, you do have to raise a support ticket through the Partner Centre. There is some information on our website. If you want to get in touch directly with myself, I can jump on a call and explain what needs to be done. And I will put a link in the chat which has got the full guide of how you need to do that. I'll pass that over and we can put that in the sort of details of this call. So that decent from an Azure perspective, because finally we get some reward for adding some customers where it's all been focused on you lot previously. Couple of other bits. There's a few bits of training coming. So there's a boot camp for Azure SQL. Ooh, wow.
Oh, love a boot camp.
Yeah, there you go. But it's data related, so there you go. From my perspective, I like the data. But this is start coming in April, but it's a good chance to register your interest now. So it'll be an introduction to it for anyone that's never done it before. Data is massive. There's huge earning potential as a reseller for managing data. So it'll be an introduction, how to deploy and configure SQL, the security, the performance, and then putting it all together. So you can register your interest. There is an aka.ms/SQL-bootcamp. Good memory, that. I wasn't reading it from my screen. Yeah. So you can register your interest for that one if you're interested in doing that. There's a big update on all of the pieces from Ignite on the community call, but they're focused on 3 areas. So Azure Purview, there is a partner accelerator. Again, there's some more calls around what that looks like for data governance. There's a workshop, some best practice calls. Again, another aka.ms/purview-accelerate is where you would go and register for those calls to understand what that accelerator and how you learn around this to be able to take it out to market. Again, there was a lot of technical around Azure Arc and around the Azure VMware solutions. So I won't talk too much of that. But then the last one I want to touch on is around the Exchange Server patch, which everyone will have heard about. So there was a few vulnerabilities that were found for on-premise Microsoft Exchange servers. The vulnerabilities were existed on Exchange Server 2010, 13, 16 and 19, but Exchange Online was not affected. So if you do have any of those servers, you must take immediate action and apply some patches for any of those on-premise Exchange deployments that you've got for your customers. Get in touch with us again around those patches. I'm sure you've all heard, but if you haven't, get in touch and try and get that done immediately if you can. That was 53 slides of a community call in 4 minutes.
53 slides.
I took out some of the bit in the middle.
Practices.
Impressive.
48 of those pages.
Is that us wrapped up for the month?
I think it is.
I think so. It seems to be like really quick this month, even though we seem to have quite a bit of content. I mean, Steve spoke for more than 30 seconds, which is always a good one.
So,
More than you, Nicola.
I
if
know.
that's the case,
Makes change.
if that's the case, it brings us on to the time where we talk about finding us on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to get in touch, feel free to reach out to us on LinkedIn. Our contact details are on the screen. if you're listening to this back in the audio only format, you will be able to find us by searching for our names.
And you'll also see Mike Markey's singing voice on YouTube and available.
Or Great Britain's Got Talent, or Britain's Got Talent, or whatever it's called. I don't know. That went down the drain, didn't it, that one? So
Funny story.
I'll be quiet now.
I did actually apply for X Factor years and years ago, but never got on. So.
Did you?
I have no idea why.
Yeah, to be fair, I think you probably would best that you didn't get on, to be fair.
Well, that's it then, guys. That's us done for another month.
Well,
Cool.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
everyone.
much.
Speak to you all soon.
Thank you.
Take
See
care.
you again.
Guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.